Let's consider power. Power exists everywhere in the natural world, including in the human body, but also in all human endeavors: politics, love, sex, and romance, sport, religion, agriculture, fossil fuels, pharmaceuticals, international trade, science, leisure, toys, power. And yet we almost never talk about it. But I have believed for many years that power should be an important regular course, along with mathematics and English literature and geography and so on, in the last 2 years of high school. I believe it should be a required course in the first 2 years of all college and university, regardless of what your main study is. I think it's that important. I don't know how we can actually understand the world or how we can survive with one another if we don't understand where the power is at any given moment. Okay, I don't mean you have to be tense and alert or worrying about it. I just think it's a good thing to know. Now, I'll give you a funny example. In psychology, for example, there is an approach that is used all over the world by lots and lots of people, called transactional analysis, TA, very fancy name, for really, it's a simple but at the same time complex idea. And the idea is simply this: that if any two people or any two governments, but especially let's start with two people, if any two people are interacting in any way, there are actually six people in the room. Uh, each of us, if you and I are doing something together, uh, I have a parent, adult, and child, and you have a parent, adult, and child. And what is really crucial is that we both understand which one of our characters is talking to whom. So, for example, if you are a parent, if you are playing the parent role and I am a child, if I am in fact a child, that's appropriate. Thank you, mommy, daddy, take care of me. Okay. But if I'm the same age as you and you're taking on the parent role and I'm perfectly capable of managing my own affairs, then I'm not happy. I'm outraged. Like, leave me alone. Stop bugging me. Uh, let's say that we're both children and we're just playing. We're playing hopscotch or tag or something. That's appropriate. That's what children do. Watch bear cubs, right? That's what they do. They play. Okay. That's what puppies do. So that's what children do. Oddly enough, not so oddly enough, according to this system of thought, having sex, having adult sex, is play. Whether you could be incredibly passionate, you could be incredibly skilled, you could be a porno movie, but it's still play. Okay, that's the thinking there. Uh, so the only acceptable way for human beings to communicate, really, especially once they become adults, is adult to adult. And if someone chooses a role that isn't adult, then we got real trouble. Now, the perfect worldwide example of this, of course, is Israel and Palestine. This nightmare has been going on since forever, I guess. And both sides are stuck. Both sides, the Israelis believe that this is the way, and the Palestinians believe that this is the way, and now the twain shall meet. And it is a hideous nightmare, costing countless human lives and a tragedy and an outrage on all sides, okay? Because they're both playing parent, and you can't get anywhere if you're both playing parent, okay? So it's an important thing to know. Now, I'm going to leave that because that's also all about power. Because what are some of the basic rules of journalism and communications? In journalism, follow the money, follow the violence, okay? Follow the power, right? A positive rule in journalism and in communication is follow the science. In fact, what is actually happening here? What's going on at this moment and in this room? If you have a headache, follow the science. Is it your eyes? Is it a brain tumor? What is it actually that's happening to you? You got to know. You got to know the reality. Okay. So now let me just talk about something that's going on in your world in communications and culture, which, by the way, I think is just a wonderful way to frame academic study. Communication and culture are gigantic subjects, and they embrace practically everything: food, right? Food is a culture, right? Drink is a culture. Trees are a culture. Ornithology, there's a culture. They're all cultures, okay? And communication, of course, is that's everything. You know, I was once staying at a farmhouse in rural Italy many years ago, an agriturismo, and I was standing by this back fence, and I found myself. I was looking out at the beautiful hills of Umbria. You know, it was great. But I remember watching on the fence, this rail fence, there were these two lines of ants walking in opposite directions. That would have been nothing, just two lines of ants going somewhere. But you know, it was amazing, and I've never gotten over. Each time an ant passed another ant, they stopped and said something, did something. I don't know, tap dancing. I don't know if they're speaking in Italian or Spanish or Latvian. I have no idea what they were doing. It's a mystery to me. I'm not an ant scientist, but communication obviously is going on all the time between practically everything. Okay, go figure out how birds migrate 5,000 miles every year, and even if you throw them off their course in 20 minutes, they'll get back to it. There's some theory that it has to do with some metal in their beaks that is following magnetic fields, and yet some people don't agree with that. Who knows? Anyway, one of the things that you're studying, or that's available for your study, I think it's in your master's course, is sport for society, and that particularly fascinates me. Today is the eve of the beginning of the French Open, an annual tournament at Roland Garros in Paris, and it's one of the four major tennis tournaments. And Patrick McEnroe and his more famous brother John McEnroe, an American tennis star and also commentator, the two of them are commentators, they are both finally talking about something that's been glaringly obvious to many of us, and that is that there are no real American male tennis stars at the moment, not since Sampras, who was, 20 years ago. Roddick only won one major and so on. Why is this? Well, follow the money. It turns out when you think about it, it goes something like this. Tennis players today are phenomenal athletes. They're all bulked up, and that includes all the genders. The women are strong and bulked up, and so on. And they look fabulous, and they can do amazing physical things. You know, Djokovic, who's not my favorite player, guy's made out of rubber. I mean, he's amazing. He's plastic, man. So how does that affect American tennis players? Well, where is the money? If you're really a phenomenal athlete, you're probably not going to focus on tennis, because the sure money, the guaranteed money, and terrific money is in team sports, is in football, soccer, baseball, basketball, ice hockey, and so on. But, you know, there's a handful, three men in tennis who have made each hundreds of millions of dollars. They're wealthy beyond imagination. But for every one of Roger Federer and Rafa Nadal, there are hundreds of male tennis players who can barely pay for their motel bills and have to steal a couple towels while they're at it. Okay, enough of that. Enough of my ramble. Let me tell you that I would be delighted to run a short workshop series with you students, maybe 6 or 8 or 10 weeks. And it wouldn't all be me chattering. Here's 2 of the first assignments I would throw at you, just because they crossed my mind. The first would be, find me 6 brand new sources of regular information, like the New York Times or the Washington Post, or something, a zine, something, a magazine, a thing on the computer and so on your cell phone. Find me 6 new ones that you've never seen before, and then give me the W5 of those. Who, what, why, where, when. What are the pros and cons of these new sources? What do you like about this? What don't you like about this? Take a good look with a new open mind at 6 new sources. And the second thing I would ask you is, what are the world's biggest, most lucrative businesses? I'll be very interested to see how many of you get this right, because there's one that's almost never talked about, and yet it is the biggest. We'll leave that as a mystery. Thank you for your kind attention. I hope to work with you sometime at Royal Roads University. Cheers.